So, Paul, welcome to Keysound. It's lovely to have you here. I trust you've had a good journey.
Oh, it's been brilliant all the way down the M1.
I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure. Well, you're here today to show us this fabulous instrument, the CSP, and talk about the concept of CSP in general.
You know what, Paul? CSP is absolutely amazing. And there's a lot of stuff that we need to talk about. However, just before we get there, I've got to say, first of all, I've not seen you for such a long time. It's great to see you. It's great to be here at Keysound. And Keysound, what a transformation.
Yes, we've moved. We've moved.
It's absolutely wonderful. What a beautiful store.
We moved back last March from Leicester.
Right. Because you were on the Narborough Road for a long time.
That's right, yeah. 46 years.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a long time.
I still look 30. But yeah, 46 years.
You didn't say that in rehearsals, by the
way. 46 years. And we've now achieved that dream of having all the products out on display, and we've got our zones, as we call them.
Yeah.
This is the Yamaha zone.
It's like, to be fair, I mean, I obviously working for Yamaha, I see this every day, but it's like being a kid in a sweet shop.
Yeah.
You've got everything.
Well, we feel the same every day we come in now because we know where everything is. And if people come in, every single product is ready to play.
Yeah.
It's all in its place.
It really is fabulous. But
great move.
I do notice, though, that there's a few bits missing. You used to do guitars and stuff, so there's guitars missing.
We did it very, very briefly quite a lot of years ago.
Oh,
but do you know, both Steve and I, we've got over 80 years experience between us.
And that better.
Yeah.
80. Sorry.
Just in keyboard products.
Yes.
And the decision was made quite quickly after taking guitars on that actually we wanted 100% of our knowledge just going into keyboard products. And we've stuck to what we know.
Okay. Have you kept the store on the Narborough Road?
No, we haven't. We looked at keeping both, but we took the decision that actually we feel the core of this business is Steve and myself.
Yes, absolutely.
And unfortunately, when you expand and you open another branch, we can only be in one branch at one time. So we wanted to concentrate everything into one specialist store.
You know what, Paul, saying that, I've over the years, I've seen it happen and I've seen it get diluted.
Yes.
So what you guys have done here, you've moved store to a big, beautiful showroom.
Yeah.
So you've got easy parking. It's easy to find. Even I found it.
Yeah.
You've got parking at the back of the store, so you've got no more of those issues where you can't get parked outside and all the rest of it. So it's really easy.
To be honest, our real aim is we want to give people an experience.
Yes.
We don't want them to just come and shop for a piano.
Yes.
We want them to have the complete, we call it the Keysound experience.
And it is an experience, to be fair. Yeah. Well, it's great to be here. Great to see you. And it's great to come and talk about Yamaha's beautiful new CSP digital.
And it's a new concept, isn't it?
It is.
It's a brand new concept.
It is. You know, Clavinova as a brand. Do you know what Clavinova means, actually?
I don't.
Okay. Well, Clavinova, first of all, means new keys.
Oh.
And it's been around for 40, I can say this now, 40 years this year. And you know what? That's some time to be on the market. Of course, Yamaha, being Yamaha, they've made pianos for a long time, as we said. But 40 years for Clavinova on the market, which is, I think it's just incredible. And for that 40 years, we've had, well, let's talk about the models or ranges within Clavinova. First of all, 40 years ago, we developed the instrument called a CLP.
Yes.
And there's lots of our customers have got CLP. And those, in a short kind of description, let's say they're classical pianos. So for someone who plays the piano, we have a range of classical pianos, and they are absolutely brilliant.
Yep.
However, there is also another range of instruments, and those instruments are called CVP. And that stands for Clavinova Versatile Piano. So if you imagine you have a piano, but you have all of the versatility of, let's say, one of our top-end workstation instruments, you kind of mix those together, then you have everything under one roof.
Yeah.
And brilliant.
Yeah, and we find a lot of the people who came from the old organ,
Yes.
the electronic organ background, which then became the keyboard market.
Absolutely.
That's their type of product.
That's absolutely correct. But you know what? There's something missing. Yamaha have done a huge amount of research in the market.
Yeah.
And to find out, what's going on, what do people want, what do they not want, what instruments do we need to build, what instruments do we need to bring to market, so that people can, actually have a piano and learn to play the piano. Now I say that because that term "learn to play" is very important.
Yes.
Let's roll the clock back to a piano.
Yeah.
It's just a piano. The problem with that is having a piano is you have to learn to play it. If you can't play it,
it's actually not a very forgiving instrument.
It's not very good, is it? So the fundamental issue is that we've got a great instrument, but if the person sat here can't play it,
yeah,
it's not gonna work. It doesn't sound very good. So what would usually happen is you would get the piano and you'd think, okay, I need to learn how to play it. So you would go out and you would find a music teacher.
Yeah.
And you would have to go to lessons.
Yep.
And you would learn how to play. And you would sit down with a music teacher, and the teacher would, give you a music book, and there's your music book, and on the first page is, whatever song it is, and here's the position and all the rest of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Teacher would kind of sit here, you would sit here,
yes,
and off you go.
Yeah, yeah.
And week after week, you would learn to play the piano.
Yes.
However, there's a problem with that.
Yeah.
And that problem is that not everyone can do that.
No.
If I look to my family, I would, as I'm sure most of us would, who are parents, would give everything to their children.
Yes.
And if my child needs to go to piano lessons, then I'm the first one to say, okay, I'll take you to the piano lesson.
Yeah, yeah.
But what about me? I'd actually like to play the piano as well, but I just haven't got the time. I've got wife and children, and whatever your circumstances are, whether it be, work or job or whatever.
Yeah.
Life kind of gets in the way.
Yeah.
And so therefore the piano lessons don't happen.
No.
And the piano doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And it just remains a kind of a figment of your memory, if you like. Maybe you played piano years ago and you think, I'd love to get back to it. But it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I also think, and forgive me for saying this, but you pick a book up, it then starts to feel like homework at school.
Yeah.
You've got, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to all those wonderful piano teachers out there, but it's this concept of you've got a study book.
Yes, and also you've hit on a really good point there. You're also learning music maybe that you don't want to learn.
Yeah.
I was very much like that.
Yeah.
Learning to play the scales and the arpeggios and the exercises, that's great. And if you want to do that, fine. All great for the academics. I just want to sit down.
And some of these books are written and stay the same for 20 years.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
It's not so easy to update a printed book, is it?
Absolutely. So now we've set the scene. Now we've set the real reason as to why we have that third range of instrument within Clavinova.
Yeah.
Hence, now we have CSP.
Yeah.
It's Clavinova, and it's a very smart piano.
Yeah, yeah.
And we say smart piano because in this wonderful world of technology, love it or hate it, we have things like tablets, like telephones that are more like computers these days. And the things that we can do with these products, it's mind-blowing. Enter into the world of apps, and that takes you to another stratosphere.
Yeah, yeah.
And, even a few years ago, even Yamaha had an app for this, and they had an app for that, and an app for this thing. So you would kind of stir crazy. Which app works on which product? Even I got confused.
Yeah, yeah.
So although there's still a few apps kicking around, we've now introduced one app, and it's called Smart Pianist.
Yeah.
And it lives on my iPad.
I'll remove that for you.
You can remove the book because we don't need that anymore. I've always wanted to do that. Here's what I made earlier. Here we have an iPad. Now, for the benefit of those people looking at this and thinking, my iPad doesn't really look like that. This is obviously we're in the store.
Yeah.
This is a security device that's locking the iPad down to the music desk. And I say music desk, first of all, before we even go there, doesn't it look beautiful?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful looking instrument. This is polished ebony, so in anyone's front room or hall or bedroom or wherever you're going to put it, it's going to look the part. It looks great.
And just before you start, I've got to say that when you're in the business, you get blasé about products and technology.
Yeah.
This excites us.
Yeah, it really does.
Because this is something we've not seen before.
Well,
it's
you know what?
New concept.
You're absolutely right. And like you say, we've both been in the business for a long time, and you know, the new product comes along and you think, yeah, that's great. It does sound great and it feels great. But you're kind of almost already waiting for the next one.
Yes.
With CSP, it's not about that.
No.
It's a completely different dynamic. So what's it all about, Paul? Let's open it up. First of all, imagine the iPad's not even there. We haven't even touched the iPad.
Yeah.
We haven't plugged it in. It's not on the instrument. First of all, as we switch the instrument on, we have at our fingertips the concert grand of concert grands. It's Yamaha's CFX.
Yeah.
And for those people who don't know what a CFX is, it's our top of the range concert grand. It's about, at the time of printing, about £150,000.
Yeah.
So if you want one of those, I'm your man. And it's stunning. It's 9 foot long.
Yes.
It's glorious. And guess what? It lives in here.
Yes.
So just very quickly, this is CFX. Just last
Yeah. Do you know, it's worth it for that piano sound alone, isn't it?
It's just stunning.
Yeah.
So when anyone's looking at the instrument and thinking, okay, I need to buy a piano, you know, maybe little Tommy's been to music lessons and the music teacher's saying, okay, we need to get him a piano now and it needs to be 88 keys, all of these buzzwords. It needs to be weighted.
Yeah.
The action needs to be correct. Well, this is just, let's tick all the boxes.
Yeah.
It's 88 keys. We have synthetic synthetic ivory even, synthetic ebony.
Yeah.
It's even got wooden keys.
Yeah, I noticed when you were playing, you can see the wood.
You can see the wood from the side. I don't know whether the cameras can pick that up.
Yeah, we'll do a close-up of that for this.
But it's just amazing. And it really does make a difference.
Yeah.
It's also what we call a graded action.
Yeah.
So it's heavier at the bottom.
Yeah.
And as you progress across the keyboard, it gets lighter. Now, there's an awful lot more to that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the guy, Paul, and the guys at Keysound will explain that if you come into the shop. It's just perfect. It's just perfect. It feels beautiful.
And I should point out the sound, hopefully you're hearing, it's not doctored at all. We've just taken a line out. Obviously, we want the best recording we can. But you're hearing the natural sound of that piano.
And also fully touch sensitive,
Yeah.
which means if you play the key softly, you get a soft sound. The harder you strike the key, for those people who don't know how pianos work, the harder you strike the key, the louder it gets, but also the tone changes. It's a little bit like clapping your hands.
Yes.
Soft sound, much louder, but a different sound. Piano's the same. Completely.
And isn't this an area that has changed dramatically over the last few years? And unfortunately, when people shop online and they just look at pictures, it doesn't tell that story of what has happened in terms of the actions and the way the sound responds.
Absolutely. You know, we also find that people who do their research and shop online, which is fine, absolutely fine, it's the way of the world, that's one thing. But coming to the store and have a conversation with people who really know what they're talking about, then usually that customer will go away with a completely different instrument to the instrument that they thought.
We've done a little exercise ourselves, and we're looking at in excess of 80% of people who walk in that shop into our shop,
Yeah.
go out with a different piano to the one
Yeah,
they preconceived
absolutely.
they were going to buy.
Yeah.
And that's because you need to hear an instrument
Yes.
in the flesh.
Yeah.
You need to feel that instrument.
Yes.
It's like going out and picking your car. You know instantly
Absolutely.
when you sit in it. So,
Well, I know which car I'd like, but the wife won't quite let me have that one.
same problem. Back to the piano.
Back to the piano. Right, okay, so we now know that, you know what, quite simply, if you want it for nothing else but being a piano, it's probably one of the best digital pianos on the market.
Yeah.
It's fabulous. However, it does so much more, and this is the really exciting part. Now, I've plugged my iPad in. You can literally just plug it into the side of your iPad there, and
there is a dedicated socket, isn't there?
absolutely.
Yeah.
So the wire's going around the back and just plugging into the socket in the side. And by doing that, the iPad will instantly talk to the piano.
Yeah.
So, and please don't think that what we're doing now is all driven by the iPad, because it isn't. The app is called Smart Pianist, and it's a very, very smart piece of kit, because what it's doing is it's opening up the world of what is inside the piano. So the technology is in here,
in the piano,
and it's allowing you to get to it, to access it through the app.
Yeah.
So what does it do? Well, first of all, we talked about pianos. Let's have a look at some more pianos. This is CFX Grand, which you can see on the screen.
Yeah.
I don't want CFX. I want a different piano.
Yeah.
It's horses for courses, because there's
of
lots of different instruments.
Yes.
Just by swiping the iPad screen, I can now change that to a Bosendorfer.
Yeah.
And a Bosendorfer is, well, it's one of the most iconic instruments ever designed and built. Still built in Vienna, in Austria to this day. This is the iconic Bosendorfer Imperial 290, which is just a beautiful instrument. Very subtle in its sound.
Yes.
And again, it lives in here.
Beautiful.
Stunning. I can even, if I want, on this pitch, I can close the lid so that I can change the sound, the tonality of the instrument. Imagine if that piano was delivered to your house.
Yes.
I don't know what the acoustics are like in that house, in that room.
Yeah.
Well, with a real acoustic piano, then, to be fair, you've got some problems.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you can't really change it.
No.
But of course, with this being digital, of course, we can.
Yeah.
So we can change elements like that. I can even take that instrument and place it into a different room.
Yeah.
A different environment.
Yes.
So let's say I wanted to play the Bosendorfer, but I want to play it in a, I don't know, let's say a church.
Yeah.
I literally go to the effect section, which is just a button at the top of the screen, and you can see I can change the effect, which is the different environments. So there is cathedral. So now when I play the instrument, you would hear that the sound of the instrument is reverberating, just as if it was in a big cathedral.
Yeah.
I can even change the size of the cathedral.
Yes.
Now that's fabulous, but what about a different piano? If I scroll across again, I've now got Studio Grand, which is a fabulous sound, completely different to the other sounds. And if you just have a listen, go back to the Bosendorfer.
Slightly brighter, isn't it?
The CFX.
Yeah.
So they're completely different voices. And the reason Studio Grand is quite bright, let's say, is because actually Studio Grand, we call it Studio Grand because it's one of the most recorded pianos ever.
Yes.
It lives in a recording studio. And that's because it really cuts above the mix.
Yes.
So if you've got a drummer and guitars and all the rest of it, for instance, if you did something like rock piano, it really cuts above that mix. What about an upright piano?
Upright piano.
There's a whole new story there. I'll let the guys in the store tell you about the differences about grand pianos and upright pianos. Otherwise, we'll be here for hours. But there's big differences between uprights and grands.
Yeah.
The sound being one of the main things. But just have a listen to the difference in the sound here. Let's just play that grand piano. Now play the upright piano.
Yeah. As it should be.
again,
Yeah,
horses for courses.
Yeah.
We've even got a little bit of, let's call it pub music.
Yeah.
And all of that sort of stuff.
Bullseye.
I used to love Bullseye. Okay, so that's a honky-tonk upright. So we've chatted about pianos.
Yeah.
And we've got lots of them.
And you've highlighted one thing that people often don't realise when they come in the store. There are different piano sounds.
Yes.
People think a piano is a piano, and it's not.
No.
Far from it.
No, lots of different
Yeah.
piano sounds, horses for courses. One piece of music might sound great on that piano, where another piece of music would sound much better on that piano. So we have them. They're all there, and many, many more.
Yeah, and without exaggerating, we've probably already got £300,000 worth of piano.
Oh yes, yeah, and then
comfortably.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. But let's really get into the nitty gritty of this, because there's lots to talk about here. Really exciting stuff. Now, for me and you, it's great because we've learned to play the piano, and we can play it to a relatively reasonable level. But what about the people who can't play? What about the people who would say, you know what? I've always loved to be able to play the piano. I would love to just sit down and do what you do and sit and play. Well, guess what? Now you can. But so you understand how it works, let's go right to the beginning. I'm going to go to an area called Song.
Yep.
So I'm just going to tap the Song button. And in the screen, it now says, tap here and select a song. So what I'd like to do is take us off to our very first piano lesson. So we're going to go to lesson. And in the screen, just like before when you saw that music book, in the screen, the first thing the piano teacher will do is they'll sell you a music book.
Yes.
There are the music books.
Yes.
All on board the instrument already. Now, these are all accredited piano tuition systems.
Yes.
Nothing to do with Yamaha.
No.
We've just put them onto the app. We've put them on board. Let's go to the first tuition book. It's called Bayer, and it says Bayer 1, 3 hands. Problem.
Yeah.
I might need to borrow one of yours. And when I say borrow one of yours, that's actually exactly what we mean. Let's remember, we've come to our first piano lesson.
Yes.
So if I tap Bayer 1 and 3 hands, what does that actually mean? Well, what it means is, in your first piano lesson, the piano teacher would sit here to the left. And they would play the accompaniment part to the tune that you learned to play. So they would play something like, or the like. Something. You, the student, would sit here. And with your right hand, you would learn to play the melody line, because it's always much easier just to learn one hand at a time. But it's also really easier if you can hear the accompaniment
the end
part,
result.
The end result. So I'm sat playing now just with one hand, something like the teachers play, and therefore you have one result, which is a great way to learn. And in fact, that's the way most music teachers, piano teachers, will teach you how to play the piano. So with that in mind, let's come to our first piece of music. Now, I can't read music, let's say, and I certainly don't know where the notes are. I'm a complete beginner. So what I'm going to do, in the screen we have some buttons here that says guide. So if I press that guide button, that's like having your teacher sat in the room with you. And I look to the piece of music and think, well, I haven't got a clue what that means. When I press the start button, the little orange box is going to move towards the first note, and it's going to ask me to play it. Let's have a go. Streamlights. Now this is amazing. I'm instantly seeing the note because it's been indicated by the instrument. So when I play it, listen to what happens. Stops. The next note is here. Play it. Next note. And if you notice, the lights are streaming. So is it telling me what note to play, it's telling me when to play it.
Yes.
And most importantly, Paul, if I get it wrong, it stops and says, no, no, no.
So it's going to wait for you.
It's going to wait for you. Just like, if you think about it, it's exactly what a teacher would be doing. Maybe say, no, 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 Paul, that's not the correct note.
Yeah.
That note is this note.
Yeah.
And you play it. And on we go through the lesson. And that lesson then moves on and gets slightly more difficult, slightly more difficult.
Yeah.
Now, if we were to scroll forward, of course, you get out of something what you put into it. So the more you practice, the better you get.
Yes.
So let's say I've been practicing every day and I've been a very good boy. I've practiced for, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 minutes a day.
Yeah.
In a year's time, I'm going to be quite advanced, actually. So let's scroll forward through all of the lessons. Now, don't forget, this is just the first book.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get to lesson 98. Shall we go with that one?
Yeah.
So we load it up, press done. Oh, my word.
Wow.
That looks
This is the point I bow out.
That's like a spider crawled out of an inkwell across the page.
Yeah.
Okay, so actually the first thing the piano teacher would do is they would play it for you.
Yes.
They would let you hear what that piece is going to sound like. So let's just press start. Okay, that's what the piece sounds like.
Yep.
Now, I can't play that with two hands. I can't start to learn to play it with two hands. So I need the teacher to play the left hand, and I'll attempt to play the right hand. So I'm going to tell the instrument I'm going to play the right hand. I want the teacher in the room, so I press guide, and I simply press start. There's my first note.
Yeah.
Incidentally, the blue light indicates it's the black
notes. Yeah.
Oops, I'm not. Now the teacher's playing at speed, at tempo.
Yes.
So it's a little bit too fast for me.
Yes.
So all I can do is slow it
Slow
down.
it down. Okay.
Okay, practice, practice,
Yeah,
practice.
I can see that.
I've got this bit off. What about this hand? Let's swap. So now I take the right hand out and say I want to learn the left hand. So now I'm playing the left hand. And the teacher is playing the right hand. And so on and so forth. And then when you get your confidence together, you can play both hands together. Now that is fantastic because that is like having a teacher teaching you to play.
Yeah.
However, we can also take that one stage further. We can then go into the other sections within the song section. And in this case, I'm going to show you some demos. So if I go to demo, I can actually go into one of the demos here and select, let's say, Water is Wide. The instrument will actually play back the track.
Right.
It will give you the same scoring as it did before, same streamlines before, and it will teach you how to play that track. But it will teach you any particular piece of music that you want to play.
And there's a vocal on there as well.
There's also a vocal. Now this takes you into another element.
Right.
We can actually load into, and again the guys at Keysound will show you how to do this, it's very easy. Using iTunes, you can load onto your iTunes account your music. So whatever music you like, whatever, we all like different types of music, you can put your piece of music into your iTunes account. The instrument will look at that iTunes piece of music, analyze it, and it will come up with not just the track and play it back, it will also come up with a piece of music that's actually scoring the track. So now it's telling me what to play. right at the end.
Yeah.
But it's actually scoring that.
It's actually mind blowing, isn't it? What it's doing.
And how that technology works, what, I haven't got a clue.
Yeah.
It is mind blowing.
Yeah.
So within the song section, and there's so much more you can do, again, that you'll be quite happy to sit and show our customers. But there's also some other stuff that this does, Paul. It just keeps getting better, in fairness.
Can I just pick up on one thing on the music? Is obviously the piano lessons, they're important.
Yes.
They're a vital part of it. But we live in this world where people want instant results. And not only do they want to play their type of music or their preferred type of music. So I'm assuming that in there we've got something for everybody.
Oh, yes. In there, there's already lots of, let's call it stuff. There's lots of songs.
Yeah.
However, like we said a little bit earlier, you can download whatever you want from the internet, whatever song.
Yeah.
And there's, again, without going into too much detail, there's different types of songs that you can download. And again, the guys at Keysound will explain all of this to you. It's very, very simple. We've got MIDI files.
Yeah.
And we've got audio files. This will read both.
Yeah.
If we downloaded a MIDI file, exactly as we were doing in the exercises, we can remove the right hand. It will teach me the right hand. It will teach me the left hand. The whole orchestration is going to be there, as we heard there. The audio file, it will put you into the middle of your favourite band, of whatever band it could be. It could be classical, it could be rock, it could be pop, it could whatever you want. You just download it onto the iPad and off you go.
Yeah,
it really is simple. But we've been talking about us following it. So the piece of music is there, the band is there, and I'm being told what to play.
Yes.
Well, what about if you want to be a bit more creative? If you want to really branch out and do some, maybe your own compositions, or just want to be a bit more free. Yes. You're not governed to what is just there. Yeah. Well, we can go into another section of the instrument, and this for me is just incredible. If we go into style, let me briefly explain what this is doing. Let's say I'm sat at home playing the piano.
Yeah.
Great. That's me playing the piano. That's fabulous. But wouldn't it be a fantastic thing if I could magically transport a band into the room to play along with me?
Yes.
Well, now we can. And this is called styles. We call it styles. You could call it backing bands.
Yeah.
So I've got the piano. Just press start. I hit the drums.
Yeah.
There's no other instruments till I start to play.
Okay.
And they'll follow what I do. So just play it forward. Incredible. And there are hundreds and hundreds of styles built in. So if I took that and said, okay, that was what we call a standard 8-beat.
Yes.
I want to play a bit of rock music.
Yep.
Well, that piano, as lovely as it is, doesn't sound very rocky. No. So first of all, let's go to my piano room and say, I don't want the CFX. Remember the Studio Grand?
Yeah.
Let's have a Studio Grand. And let's put it into a nightclub.
Yeah.
So I've got this really like that.
Yeah.
Let's now go to style, and I'm going to select from the rock section. Let's select contemporary rock. Done. As soon as I press start, and incidentally, we've got A, B, C, and D.
Yes.
That's like having your verse, chorus, second verse. So I can even change the band members as I'm playing.
Yeah.
Let's start at the beginning. Press start. I'll hear the drums. Doesn't start till I actually start playing. So let's play that bass line. Band is playing the bass.
Yeah. And what's great, you can store that then, can't you?
Yes, yeah.
So, because you wouldn't want to have to go through that every time.
No, you can.
A one.
Well, let's, while we're in that vein of talking about doing things with it, let's come out of style. And remember how we changed the voice?
Yeah.
Well, we don't have to just change to a single voice. We can also layer voices.
Yes.
So let's say I wanted that studio grand. But I want to add a voice to it. I want to layer a voice across the top. Well, if I press layer, I can now see there's another voice appeared here.
Yep.
So I can now select from one of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of voices on board the instrument. I've selected dark pad. Sounds very themed. Yeah. But you know what? It's a great sound, and it does exactly as it says on the tin. It's a dark pad that kind of just sits in the background. If I want to adjust that, if I go to the balance section, make it louder, bring it down, so I've got more of the piano.
Yeah.
Amazing. And you don't have to stop there. You know, if you wanted strings, maybe some strings in the background.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, let's say we don't want a layer, we just want some different sounds. Let's take the layer off. Let's change the voice to string orchestra, maybe.
Yeah.
Let's have some lush strings. About a choir. And there's lots of choirs.
Yes.
We've got guitars, and this is where I can tell you about another part of the instrument. It's called super articulation, usually only found in our top of the range workstations.
Yeah, like the Genos.
Like Genos.
Yeah.
And what super articulation is, it's a part of the voice that's been very, very cleverly programmed. So that, imagine you have a guitar and someone is playing the guitar. Yes, you'll hear the notes that's being played, but you'll also hear lots of other things.
Yeah.
The subtleties and the nuances, the bangs and the twangs, for want of a better term. You know, how the guitarist is plucking the string. You actually hear that. The squeak of the fretboard as he moves his fingers.
I mean, in many ways, it's the same way that piano sounds have advanced, isn't it? Because it's not just the sound now, it's all those ambient noises and the resonance.
So this is a concert guitar. It's even bending the notes.
It's real, actually.
When it needs to bend, it's not me. It's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I lift my pedal off, I even get the off sound.
Yeah.
Flamenco. Terrific. Different guitar sounds. Steel guitars.
mean, I'm sitting listening to you play it, which is nice for me, not to be the person sat there. And the word that comes, it inspires, doesn't it? It's an instrument that's just inspirational.
It takes you on this musical journey.
Yeah.
It's like a musical carrot, for want of a better term. It's just saying, come on, come with me, come and play. Just let's.
And we're not lying, are we, when we say, because our whole day revolves around pianos, keyboards, etc. The last thing we want to do when we get home
is play.
But actually, Steve, the boss here, owns one of these.
Has one at home.
And
absolutely.
The reason he bought it was because his wife sings.
Yes.
And you'll probably mention that in a minute. We can plug our microphone in.
It's one thing I'm not going to demonstrate.
No, not me. His son wanted to create music, but not in the traditional way.
Yes.
His daughter wanted to learn the piano, and obviously Steve wanted an instrument to relax at home. It's all things to all people, isn't it?
Absolutely. And like you say, inspiration is just a great term for CSP. It just takes you on this musical journey, because you can pretty much do whatever you want to do with this. From the offset, it's just a piano. And that's a big statement to make. It's just a piano.
Yeah.
But it's so much more.
Yeah.
And when you start to actually get into the app and discover what's available in a very easy way, it's not difficult. It's brilliant. Let me show you something else, which is just incredible, especially for, you mentioned Steve's kids and want to make music in a different way. Let's say someone's into composition, they want to make their own stuff. Recording is a big part of music making. In fact, for someone learning to play, recording is the best way to find out how you're doing. Because it's not until you step back and you listen to it and you think, actually, that's really quite good. I could do
or the opposite.
Or the opposite, especially with me. But just watch this. We have a little red button down at the bottom left-hand side. For most people, that means record. Well, it does. Press record, and what we'll see is it's actually wanting me to. Let me just come out of this, because I'm still in the other section. Let's just go to piano. That's it. And when I press record, I'm going to go to new song. I'm going to record a MIDI file. Now, you guys will explain all about this. And I'm just going to press record, and it says now recording. So now when I let's just play a basic scale. Stop recording. Now, there's nothing really new about that. We've been able to record things for years. If I press save, I can call it a name as well. But if I just press save, I'm going to save that to the instrument. And when I go to song, not only will it play that back, but if you look at the screen, it's also
scored it out.
It's scored what I play. Now that could be playing both hands, so on and so forth. You can even then take a screen print of that and send it off to your printer. So you could record parts for maybe your band members, if you've got a little band together, or keyboard, whatever. It's just incredible. So really, you know what, Paul, as an overview, CSP as an addition to Clavinova is just incredible. And I think that CSP is the greatest thing to happen to the piano industry since the invention of the piano.
And I think you're absolutely right. And I think this is the future.
Oh, yes.
You said something earlier, technology, love it or hate it. The thing is, 90% of people that walk into our shop are familiar now with smartphones, tablets, iPads, whatever name you want to put on it. We're all getting familiar with these interfaces.
Well, you even have apps now on your TV.
That's right.
Your car has apps. Everything has apps.
So it's fairly intuitive, isn't it? Even without reading any instructions, most people will know where to go with it.
Well, you could, in fairness, you can of course, the instrument comes with full instructions, and more so than that, it comes with you.
Yeah.
And Steve and Keysound, because
Yeah.
you offer up a full backup service for
Yeah.
people who have bought the
Well, we
instrument.
always say whatever instrument people buy from Keysound, they have a lifetime of support with that instrument. We encourage people, go and own an instrument for a month or two, find out what you do know and what you don't know,
Yeah.
because you'll always remember things if you explore it yourself and
Yeah.
you work the answer out yourself. But then we're here.
Yeah.
Come in, have a lesson with us, not
Yes.
on how to play,
Yes.
but we will talk to you about that if you want to,
yeah.
but how to get the best
How
out
it
of your
works.
instrument, because it's a genuine thing we're passionate about. If somebody invests hard-earned money in any product,
Yes.
we want them to get the best out of it. And I said earlier about inspiring you, we've all done it. We've made the mistake of buying something just to give something a go.
Yes.
I remember when I wanted to learn guitar, I bought, I don't like using the word cheap, but let's say a budget guitar.
Yeah.
But it ended up doing more to put me off ever playing a guitar.
Yeah. Yeah. I know exactly.
I
what you
should have taken that slightly higher step
mean. Yeah.
for something that was nice to play. It would have inspired me to keep it up.
Easier to play as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I remember that from many, many years ago. You know, when I walked into my first music store
Yeah.
with my dad,
Yeah.
and I back then we were playing the organ,
Yeah.
and you know, I said to Dad, I'd love to play the organ. So Dad says, yes, let's go along to the music store. And in the music store was all of these organs, as we have now, but obviously times have moved on.
Yes.
And I got the little second-hand thing in the doorway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I always remember Dad saying, if you practice really hard and you get really good, I'll buy you that one that's sat over there, the big almighty. It was a Yamaha D85.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely glorious, and that's the one I wanted.
Yes. And what does the new instrument do for you? It makes you want to play.
It's inspiring. It makes you want to play. The more you play, the better you get, because the more you're practicing. It's just a much more positive way of learning. As it was, I had a second-hand small Yamaha, much older one.
Yeah.
That, you know what, Mum and Dad said, you know, it's time for practice.
Yeah.
And I kind of went, oh, okay. Instead of being inspired.
But isn't that the beauty of all these modern instruments, is that we get a lot of young families, and piano has become, let me say, a trendy instrument to play again. It went slightly out of fashion.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of years spent where people were told, you've only got to play one finger here and one finger there. And actually the novelty wore off.
Yeah.
I think the fact that you have to learn to play is actually part of the enjoyment, and it's part of the hobby.
You're right.
But we've got a lot of young children who come in here and they want to piano, they want to play piano, but they don't want to study Mozart and Beethoven. You've just said it. They want to compose their own music. So learn some chords, some harmonies.
Absolutely.
They might want to get together with their friends. This is where this sort of instrument is just unbelievable.
We see it so much. We see it so many times that, you know, kids are learning to play, but they're learning to play, you know, the pieces of music that they've got no interest in.
Yeah.
And they don't know what it is because it's not from their genre. It's not, it's not from their age bracket. And then they're just not interested.
No, okay.
But now we can introduce them to something that they are interested in. They can make their music whilst actually learning to play the piano at the same time.
So this is the flagship of the CSP.
This is CSP.
We're seeing it here in the ultimate colour, which is the polished ebony.
Yeah.
Also available in black and a white matte finish, a satin finish.
Yeah, there's three colours. There's polished ebony, which you can see here, as you've just said, and there's black and there's white.
And then we've got a CSP150. So what are we missing if we drop down to the CSP150?
So this is the 170.
Yep.
Drop down to the 150, and you know what? You only lose two things. But those two things are huge.
Right.
To look at the instrument, you'd be forgiven for not noticing the difference because they look very, very much the same. Yeah. But there are two fundamental differences. The first difference is, remember we talked about the action, the keyboard.
Yes.
Well, the keyboard in the 170 has got wooden keys.
Yes.
This is called NWX.
Yeah.
So it's a really, really great action. you come down to the 150, and you come down to our GH3 action, which is a plastic key.
Yeah.
And without sounding too arty, but there's a huge difference between a plastic key and a wooden key.
Yeah.
It's the way that the instrument behaves
Yes.
between you and it. It's the
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah.
It just bonds with you. It's a very organic kind of
Yes.
feel. So it's really important in well, not just my book, but from a music teacher point of view, that you get something as close to an acoustic instrument as possible, and that's a wooden action. However, the GH3 action is stunning. It's great, but it's plastic.
Yeah.
So that's one of the differences.
Yes.
So the first difference is how it feels. The second difference is how it sounds. Now, in the 170, we have an incredible amplification system. And I don't know, again, whether the cameras can pick up on it. You show it a little bit later on. But we actually have a speaker system right across the instrument here. And also, underneath the instrument, we have a really big bass unit that sits underneath. So we've got many different speakers handling many different levels of sound, if you like. When you move down to the 150, you lose that. Of course, it's got a great amplification system, but it's not as good
Not
as
the
this.
same. No.
It's a little bit like if you imagine going into a hi-fi store and you listen to, showing my age now, you go into a hi-fi store and you listen to hi-fi number one, which costs, I don't know, let's say £100, and it sounds great. It sounds fine. But you switch on the hi-fi that's sat next to it that's, 3 or 4 times the price. Now you listen to it and it's like, oh, wow. The sound is night and day. So, 2 big differences, how it sounds and how it feels. That's the difference between 170 and 150.
Okay. So, that's CSP.
Yes.
But along has come an incredible new product.
Absolutely.
So, if we just take a little break, rearrange the cameras, and we'll have a little sneak preview of something brand new.
Well, it's only just come out,
Yeah.
And I have to say, it's fantastic.
Well, when we swap over, I'll tell you what I said when it was first built. But it works on this same concept, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I suppose you could call it a baby CSP, but I'll tell you what. Let's have a look.
Yeah. Well, here we are, and here it is, the PS500.
Our very latest baby, I have to say. And I say baby, and I kind of mean that in a very positive way, because it is our baby. We've talked about CSP, we've looked at what CSP does. This is the new PS500. So it doesn't live in the Clavinova family. It's not a CSP.
No.
However, when you look at what it does, you'll understand why we call it a baby CSP.
So first and foremost, you can actually buy this, can't you, as a portable piano?
Yes. Yeah.
Portable stage piano, whatever you want to call it.
Well, that's why it's called a PS500, because it comes from the portable family. And in fairness, as you buy it, you buy the top part, the instrument part. There are separate options, of course. The beautiful stand, a really nice contemporary stand, I think.
It is. It makes it a modern contemporary piece of furniture, doesn't it?
And it's going to look great in your living room, bedroom, hallway, wherever.
And you've got the nice fixed 3-pedal unit, not chasing the sustain pedal around under the piano.
Well, you can do that if you want. I mean, if you go, you want to take it on a gig, of course you just chuck it under your arm and off you go, and you've got the single sustain pedal.
That's it.
But when it's living in your house, you really want it to look the part. So that's why we give you the option. You can either just buy it as the instrument itself, or you can add the contemporary stand. Or you can add the stand and the 3-pedal unit as well. And
this is beautiful. This touchscreen display that runs the whole length of the piano.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? This comes from our Clavinova series. It was developed for Clavinova CLP700 series. And when the instrument is off, the screen disappears.
Yes.
So there's no buttons to say. It's all touch screen.
Yes.
But what I think is absolutely brilliant about this is you can operate the instrument via the touchscreen. So we have voices button, we have a styles button.
Yep.
And simply by touching the screen, you can operate a lot of the things that we showed you with CSP.
Yeah.
You can operate from the panel. So you don't need to have your iPad attached.
No.
However, if you want to really jump in and really get to the the nitty gritty
Yeah.
of what the Smart Pianist app can do,
Yeah.
then let's take our iPad. Now, this could be a selected Android device, or a smart device. That's what you want.
So just to make it clear, you're running exactly the same software that we used on the CSP.
Yeah, exactly the same software. It's called Smart Pianist.
Yeah.
Anyone can download it. It's absolutely free.
Yeah.
You can download it from the iTunes or wherever you get your apps from. But as we said with the CSP video, the technology isn't in here. This is the window into the instrument.
It's your control panel, really.
Yes, which, as it suggests, we've got part of that control panel now on the instrument.
Yeah.
To get into it fully, we use the app. And when we load up the app, in fact, let's just find out where the port is. So there we are. This is an iPad.
Yep.
I'm going to take my cable that I've already plugged into the back of PS500.
Yep.
This is the data charger cable that comes with the the iPad. When I connect, if you watch the screen on the instrument, as soon as I connect, the iPad takes over.
Yeah.
And the screen goes blank.
Yes.
So now control has moved from the instrument to the iPad.
Yeah.
I just click OK, and there we go. So now, whatever I'm playing on the instrument, I'm controlling from here, which I think is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Now, as we said before, this isn't a CSP in total.
No.
We have less voices.
Yes.
We have less styles.
Yeah.
Of course, it doesn't have the same cabinet as CSP.
No.
And of course, because of that, we don't have the same amplification system.
No.
However.
But I have to say, when I first switched that on, that was probably the biggest surprise to me, was the depth and richness of sound that came out of something so small.
Good things come in little bundles.
So they tell me.
So they say. But it really does pack a punch. For a portable instrument.
Yes.
Usually there's something kind of gives with a portable instrument, but not with PS500. It sounds great.
When we were filming earlier, I said I would tell you what my immediate reaction was. We not long bought a property abroad.
Yes.
Not as posh as it sounds. It's a tent, actually. No, we've got an apartment abroad, and the minute me and my wife saw this, because we're going to be limited for space.
Yes.
And the other beauty is, even if I haven't got my iPad with me, I can quite happily sit and play this piano.
Yeah.
Even without I
them.
know the iPad opens up
a
tremendous amount of functionality, but I can sit and select sounds, I can select some styles, etc., etc. So,
and incidentally, talking about the iPad, if you look at the where the iPad sat on the music desk, we've even thought about that. The angle, and I'm not sure whether the cameras can pick this up, but the angle of the music desk is set slightly different.
Almost to everything else, isn't it?
And it's done specifically for iPad.
Yeah.
Or Android device or whatever you're using. So
because a lot of instruments now have the adjustable screens, don't they?
Right.
And actually, it's not that typical music rest position that's ideal. It's the slightly sloping back.
And that is absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
We also have on the instrument GHS action, which I know to our wonderful viewers that really doesn't mean anything, but it means graded hammer standard. And what that means is, even in a portable instrument like this, the feel of the instrument is perfect. It's graded.
Yeah.
So if you remember from what we said before, heavy at the bottom, and it actually gets lighter as you progress up the keyboard. So even though we have plastic keys, that, you know what, in the big scheme of things, at the price point of this instrument, the keyboard still feels great.
Yeah.
In fact, it's a real pleasure to play.
Yeah. And available in the black finish
Yes.
and the white finish.
Oh, white, yes.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
looks stunning.
And I think that the white cabinet has really something about it, because it still has the black
there.
fascia, the black
Yeah.
touch screen.
Yeah.
So you have that mixed with a white cabinet, and
Yeah.
it really does. It really stands out. It really looks great.
Yeah.
So PS500 at the price point of what it is.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So it's been brilliant to go through it. And I think if we take anything from it, we need to look at this concept of using that amazing app
Yeah.
with an iPad to open up this whole world of. They're not just pianos, are they?
No.
These have become home entertainment centres now.
Yeah, that's exactly what they are.
Whatever generation wants to play and however they want to play, it can accommodate them.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? When you look, let's wind the clock back, and you look to piano.
Yeah.
Every home, from the kind of the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, they had a piano.
Yeah.
Because it was the form of entertainment.
Yeah.
They didn't really have TVs and videos and hi-fi
Yeah.
and all the rest of it. So people used the piano as the form of entertainment. Now, of course, as time has ticked on, technologies drove in, and now we've got all forms of different and fabulous entertainment.
Yeah.
But piano has always been the main kind of stable diet of anyone that's got anything kind of musical running through their blood. They want to play, and we know that.
Yeah.
So therefore, pianos have now had to change and morph into our modern day society.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why we now have a digital instrument that isn't just a piano.
No.
If you want piano,
Yes.
take away the iPad, switch it on, it's just a piano.
Yeah.
But now with the invention of tablets and apps, we can do so much more. And like we said earlier, it really does take us on this journey, like having that big musical character say, come and play me. And you think, oh, I can do this. Oh, I could do that. And I can play this, I can do that. It really is just inspirational.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah. I mean, you say it's just a piano.
Just a piano.
But it ticks all the boxes for modern homes. I love acoustic pianos, don't get me wrong, but they're too big, they're too loud for the majority of homes. Yeah. So you have a piano that not only is a stunning piano sound and feels nice, it's never going to need tuning.
Oh.
We can, of course, plug the headphones in, or you could turn the volume down to a level where it's not going to disturb anybody else in the house. So they've just got so much going for them. But just to summarise, I would always encourage people, and Keysound would always encourage people, come into the shop. Yeah. Don't buy from a picture. Don't buy from a review.
No.
Because that is just one person's opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
And come and see us, get the whole experience, and try the pianos with these apps. We had a guy, and I'll finish with this little story. He came in just before Christmas to buy a new instrument for his wife. And he's always been the onlooker.
Lucky wife.
Yeah. Well, he's always been the onlooker and the listener, but absolutely loves music. And we managed to sit him on a CSP170.
Okay.
And using the guide system, he played to the beautiful orchestral backing of White Christmas.
Yeah.
And I wish I'd had the camera rolling just to see not just the smile, but just the emotion on that guy's face that he'd actually achieved a lifelong dream that he never thought he would.
Yeah.
And that's not a sales gimmick or anything.
No.
He sat there and he followed those lights and he was absolutely beaming.
You know what, Paul? I totally get what you're saying, and you know what? I'll never apologise for wanting to sell something because you know we're here to sell some incredible musical instruments. However, to sell the incredible musical instruments, we have to cater for what people want and what people need.
Yes.
And sometimes people don't even realise what they need.
Yeah.
And when we scroll back to our very beginning conversation, is if you ask someone, do you play a musical instrument? They say, no. Would you like to? Oh, yes. A huge percentage of people would love to play a musical instrument, and a huge percentage of those would love to play the piano.
Yes.
Would love to play the piano, but they don't because they think it's out of reach.
Yes.
And as we said earlier on, you know what, they haven't got the time to go for music lessons. You know, life gets in the way. They don't have a piano because they can't play it. So you've got this kind of spiral going around. They can't play it, so they don't have one.
Yeah.
And they're not going to get one because they can't play it, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Now, when you show them, and that's exactly why CSP and PS500 have been developed, is now we can put that instrument in front of someone who can't play.
Yeah.
And, you know, the famous saying, oh, I've always wanted to play. Now you can.
Yes.
And that's the guy who sat and played White Christmas, realising that all his dreams had come to fruition because now he realises, wow, I can play.
I'm yet to find out. He promised his wife he would play White Christmas on Christmas Day.
Oh, really?
So I'm waiting for the answer, but I'm sure he did.
I hope he did.
So, Paul, thank you once again.
You're
It's been an absolute pleasure. We've run out of coffee, but it's been a pleasure to have you here. So all that remains is for us, myself and Steve from Keysound, to say thanks for taking the time to watch this little production of ours, and I hope it's encouraged you to either pick up the phone, have a chat with us, or better still, come along to the store and have a listen in the flesh to some of these great Yamaha products. Thanks for watching. See you soon.
Bye-bye.